Most of you probably know that it feels good to get something done. But is it possible to be addicted to that feeling? To be addicted to work? And the answer would be yes. You would be called a workaholic, which is a term derived from the word alcoholic, and it is actually a real thing recognized by most health professionals. Workaholics are so addicted to getting things done that they usually neglect every other aspect of their life. They usually work more than necessary, have an obsession with working, have a fear of failure, and use work as an escape from other problems. Their work usually suffers because they're so obsessed with getting things done that they actually don't care about the quality of the work, and many times they end up getting fired due to that. We all know that some people can be addicted to the reward caused by getting things done. But what exactly is a reward? As with many things, it is dopamine. Increased dopamine in a certain center of the brain motivates you to do something. Right now you're probably thinking, wait, I thought dopamine was usually associated with the complete feeling of pleasure associated with drugs. And that is true, but it can also increase in negative situations too. Dopamine is much more complicated than just making a complete feeling of pleasure. Dopamine causes motivation too, especially when it's in a certain center of the brain. More dopamine is also created when you do get something done. It is important to note right now that you can be addicted to things that your brain produces, and many workaholics are actually addicted to the dopamine their brain produces when they get something done or the stress hormones associated with working. Studies of hardworking people and slackers showed that hardworking people naturally had many more dopamine receptors than slackers. In another study, people who did drugs or had gambling problems actually had fewer dopamine receptors than average. They needed more dopamine to feel the exact same as someone who had regular amounts of dopamine receptors. They get addicted to drugs so easily because they need more dopamine to feel pleasure that most people get doing regular activities. Flow is a perfect balance between boredom and anxiety. Flow is usually initiated when you have goals that are very rewarding and achievable, but not so hard that you get frustrated. Many people who experience flow are inventors, composers, and even programmers. These people are usually very hardworking but not considered workaholics because they're not necessarily addicted to the chemicals that their brains are producing. Video games usually initiate flow too. They have achievable goals that are easy to meet if you follow what the game wants you to do. They're not so easy that you get bored, but they're not so hard and unachievable that you get frustrated with the game. And this is why video games can be so addicting. You can exploit this in your own work by instead of making one giant goal, make smaller goals that are achievable and realize that you've met those goals, and you'll feel like you're achieving more when you're doing work. This is why you don't like working when it feels like you're working for nothing and you're not getting anything done. We all know the reality of video games. Many people complain about working all day at a boring job, then to relax they come home and do a repetitive task on a video game just because its goals are more achievable. What you can learn from this is to make your life more like the video game. Thank you for watching.